The year was 2157. Humans had just started to build homes on Mars and dig for precious metals on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Earth was still their main home, but people were excited about living among the stars. Far away, in the depths of space, the galactic hegemony detected radio signals from Earth. The hegemony was a powerful group of 7 alien species who ruled over hundreds of planets. For 10,000 years, they had either made friends with new aliens or forced them to serve. No one had ever said no to them. Captain John Miller yawned as he guided his ship near Saturn's rings. It was another quiet day patrolling the outer planets. His crew of 15 was busy checking systems and watching radar screens. "Captain, I'm seeing something strange," said Lisa Green, the radar specialist. Her fingers moved quickly over her screen. "There's some kind of ripple in space about 20,000 miles ahead." Miller leaned forward. "Show me." The main screen lit up with a visual of empty space. Then, like water bending around a stone, the darkness seemed to fold in on itself. A bright light flashed, and suddenly, a massive ship appeared. "My God," whispered Miller. The alien vessel was huge, almost 2 miles long. It was shaped like a dark metal arrowhead with glowing blue lines running across its surface. "Send a message to Earth Command. Now," Miller ordered. But before they could send anything, their communications went dead. The giant ship was jamming all signals. On board the alien vessel, Admiral Krazak of the Hegemony studied the human ship with his 4 eyes. His scaled skin reflected the blue light of the command center as he turned to his second-in-command. "These humans have primitive technology," he said in a deep, rumbling voice. "Scan their planet and prepare for standard contact procedures." The second-in-command, Officer Zexith, bowed slightly. "The scans show they have only reached basic space travel. They have nuclear weapons, but nothing that could harm our ships. They appear to be at least 500 years behind our technology." Krazak made a sound like rocks grinding together, his species' version of a laugh. "Another simple conquest, then. Begin the approach to their home planet." What the aliens didn't know was that humans were not like other species they had met. Earth was what space explorers called a death world, a planet with harsh conditions, dangerous animals, extreme weather, and constant challenges. To survive on Earth, humans had evolved to be incredibly adaptable. Back on Earth, Defense Command received Miller's last transmission before it was cut off. Alarms sounded in military bases around the world. In Washington, D.C., President Laura Doyle was quickly moved to a secure room deep under the White House. "What do we know?" she asked General Paul Harris. "Not much, Madam President," Harris replied. "Captain Miller's ship detected something near Saturn. Then we lost contact. Our deep space telescopes have just spotted what appears to be an artificial object larger than anything we've ever built. It's moving toward Earth at incredible speed." President Doyle's face was grim. "How long until it reaches us?" "At its current speed, 3 days." The president stood up straight. "Call an emergency meeting of the United Nations. Contact every major military power. If this is first contact with alien life, we need to be ready for anything." As governments around the world prepared for the unknown, Admiral Krazak studied human broadcasts with growing confidence. These creatures seemed divided into nations, fighting among themselves over resources and ideas. They would be easy to conquer. It would be the biggest mistake the galactic hegemony had ever made. 3 days later, the giant alien ship entered Earth's orbit and cast a shadow over millions of frightened people below. The first war between humans and the Galactic Empire was about to begin. 3 months after the giant ship appeared in Earth's sky, the aliens had built a space station that orbited the planet like a second moon. People could see it at night, a bright spot that moved across the stars. The hegemony had sent messages to Earth in perfect English. They called themselves the Guardians of Galactic Peace and demanded that human leaders meet with them. After many nervous meetings, world leaders agreed to send representatives. President Laura Doyle chose Ambassador William Scott to lead Earth's team. Scott had gray hair and kind eyes that hid a sharp mind. He had solved fights between countries for 30 years and studied how different cultures talk to each other. "Remember," President Doyle told Scott before he left, "we want peace, but not at any cost. We won't become slaves." Scott nodded. "I understand." The meeting took place on the space station. Scott and 5 other humans rode a shuttle up from Earth, their hearts racing as they docked with a massive alien structure. High Commander Vexlor waited for them in a large room with walls that seemed to glow. He stood over 7 feet tall with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. 2 assistants stood behind him, their yellow eyes watching the humans carefully. "Welcome," Vexlor said, his voice surprisingly smooth. "We are pleased you have accepted our invitation." Scott stepped forward and bowed slightly. "We come seeking understanding and friendship between our peoples." Vexlor made a gesture that might have been a laugh. "Friendship is a simple concept for simple species. What we offer is much more valuable. Protection." The alien touched a crystal on the table, and a 3D map of the galaxy appeared in the air. Hundreds of stars lit up in different colors. "The galaxy is dangerous," Vexlor continued. "Many predator species would destroy your world without thought. The hegemony offers safety. In return, you will provide resources and workers for our projects." Scott frowned. "You're asking us to give up our freedom." "We are offering you survival," Vexlor corrected. "Your planet will become a protectorate. We will allow your governments to continue, as long as they follow hegemony directives. We will share some technology with you. This is our standard arrangement with developing species." "And if we decline?" asked Maria Chen, one of the human scientists. Vexlor's eyes narrowed. "That would be unwise. Those who refuse our protection often face natural disasters, asteroid impacts, solar flares, terrible accidents." The threat hung in the air. Scott kept his face calm, but inside, his anger grew. "We have a saying on Earth," Scott said quietly. "We have a long history of dealing with bullies. It rarely ends well for them." Vexlor stood taller, all 4 arms stiffening. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. These are the terms. You have 30 Earth days to prepare your people for integration into the hegemony. After that time, we will begin the process, with or without your cooperation." Back on Earth, Scott reported to an emergency meeting of world leaders. "They don't want allies," he explained. "They want servants. They believe their technology makes them gods compared to us." President Doyle looked around the room at the faces of presidents, prime ministers, and kings from every major nation. "Then we have 30 days to prepare for war." To everyone's surprise, there were no arguments. For the first time in human history, every country agreed to work together. In secret bases around the world, scientists and soldiers began planning. Old enemies shared technology and strategies. While the hegemony watched from above, thinking humans were accepting their fate, Earth was actually building weapons, training fighters, and looking for alien weaknesses. In his private office, General Paul Harris looked at the latest reports and smiled. "The aliens made a big mistake," he told his staff. "They judged us by our technology, not by our will to be free." Across the ocean, in a hidden lab in Japan, Dr. Keiko Seto made an important discovery. Her team had been studying pieces of alien technology found in an abandoned probe. She rushed to her computer and sent an encrypted message. "Found something. Their ships use quantum communication. It has a weakness." The countdown to war had begun. As the 30-day deadline ticked away, Earth buzzed with secret activity. In an underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Susan Hayes watched soldiers train with new weapons. "Faster." She called to a group practicing with prototype laser rifles. "The aliens won't give you time to think." Susan was tough but fair. Her short gray hair and stern face showed years of military experience. President Doyle had put her in charge of Earth's defense plan because Susan never gave up, no matter the odds. "General, you need to see this," said a young officer, handing her a tablet. Susan looked at the screen. It showed satellite images of the alien station. Small ships were coming and going more often now. "They're getting ready," she said quietly. "So must we." Across the world, in a secret computer lab in India, Dr. Alan Foster worked day and night. Alan had once been a hacker who got in trouble with the law. Now, the government needed his special skills. "The aliens use quantum networks for their computers," he explained to his team. "It's very advanced, but all systems have weak spots. We just need to find them." Alan's fingers flew over his keyboard. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. But he kept working. If he could break into the alien network, humans might have a chance. Meanwhile, in a hidden hangar in Brazil, Officer Peter Collins led a special mission. 3 weeks earlier, his team had managed to capture a small alien scout ship that had landed to take soil samples. The ship was only the size of a bus, but it contained alien technology that Earth scientists were studying carefully. Peter walked around the silver craft, watching as engineers took pieces apart. "Any progress?" he asked Dr. Maria Chen, who was examining the ship's engine. Maria looked up and smiled. "Big progress. Their quantum drives work on principles we never imagined, but we're learning fast." Peter nodded. "Good. We need every advantage we can get." What the humans discovered was surprising. The aliens were advanced, but in some ways, they had stopped inventing new things. They had used the same technology for thousands of years, making it better, but not really changing it. Humans, on the other hand, were always trying new ideas. Earth's scientists took alien concepts and quickly thought of ways to use them differently. In orbit above Earth, the aliens remained confident. Admiral Krazak studied reports about human activity, but saw nothing to worry about. "They are building some new weapons," reported Officer Zexith, "but nothing that can harm our ships." "Of course not," Krazak said. "Our history shows that primitive species like humans always follow the same pattern. They will try to fight, they will lose quickly, and then they will serve." What the Admiral didn't know was that Earth had faced extinction many times before. From ice ages to plagues to world wars, humans had always found a way to survive. It was in their blood to fight impossible odds. With only 5 days left before the deadline, General Susan Hayes called a meeting of all military leaders. "Time to share what we've learned," she said. "Dr. Foster, you first." Ellen stepped forward. "We found a weakness in their communications. Their quantum network can be disrupted by specific frequencies. If we hit it right, we can blind them temporarily." Next, Peter Collins showed images of the captured scout ship. "We've learned how their shields work. They're not designed to stop many small attacks at once. They expect big weapons, not thousands of little ones." Susan looked around the room. "The aliens think this will be easy. They expect us to fight the way they would fight. But we won't. We'll fight like humans, adaptable, creative, and absolutely determined." She pointed to a map showing Earth and the alien station, "And we're not going to wait for them to attack. We're going to strike first." The 30 days were up. In his massive command ship, Admiral Krazak prepared to show humans the cost of resistance. "Target their largest cities first," he ordered. "Destroy enough to make them surrender, but leave their resources intact." The hegemony fleet moved into position. 20 warships, each larger than any human vessel, formed a ring around Earth. Their weapons could level mountains and boil oceans. The aliens had done this many times before on many worlds. "Sir," said Officer Zexith, "a small human ship is approaching under a white flag. They say they wish to surrender." Admiral Krazak's mouth curved into what might have been a smile. "Bring them into the docking bay. I want to see these humans beg for mercy." The small ship, painted white with peace symbols, slowly approached the alien flagship. It was a simple transport vessel with Global Peace Initiative written on its side. The alien scanner showed only 5 humans inside and no weapons. But the scanners were wrong. Inside the ship, Lieutenant Kate Johnson checked her watch. 2 minutes until we're in position, she told her team. All 5 wore regular clothes, not uniforms. They looked scared but determined. Kate touched a hidden panel, revealing a strange device. It wasn't a bomb. It was something much more clever. The device contained technology reverse-engineered from the captured alien scout ship, combined with human creativity. 1 minute, Kate said. Remember, we only get one shot at this. In the main fleet, Admiral Krazak watched the human ship approach. Pathetic creatures, he said. They see our power and lose their courage. Suddenly, Kate pressed a button. The device activated, releasing not an explosion, but a specially designed electromagnetic pulse. This wasn't a normal EMP. It was created specifically to target the quantum communication network the aliens relied on. The pulse spread out in all directions, invisible but powerful. It reached the flagship first, then rippled through the entire alien fleet. On the flagship's bridge, screens went dark. Alarms blared. What is happening? Krazak demanded. The quantum network is failing. An officer reported, panic in his voice. Ships cannot communicate with each other. Targeting systems are offline. In that moment of confusion, Earth launched its real attack. From hidden bases on the Moon and Mars, hundreds of small fighter ships shot into space. These weren't large warships. They were fast, agile craft piloted by the best humans had to offer. Captain Frank Martinez led the first wave. Remember your training, he told his pilots through the radio. Hit the weak points we identified. Don't try to destroy the ships, just disable them. The human fighters swarmed around the alien vessels like angry bees. The hegemony ships were designed to fight other large ships, not hundreds of small, fast targets. Their weapons were powerful but slow to aim. Frank's fighter darted beneath a hegemony destroyer. He fired a specially designed missile at exactly the right spot, where the alien engineers had placed cooling vents for the main engines. The missile didn't need to be powerful. It just needed to disrupt the cooling system. All across the battlefield, human pilots did the same. They targeted engines, weapon systems, and sensor arrays with surgical precision. This is impossible, Krazak shouted as reports of damage came in from all ships. These humans are savages. How can they fight like this? Within 3 hours, 3 hegemony destroyers had been disabled completely. The rest of the fleet, including Krazak's flagship, was damaged and struggling to coordinate without their quantum network. For the first time in thousands of years, the mighty hegemony had been caught by surprise. And they were losing. On Earth, in the underground command center, General Susan Hayes received the battle reports with a grim smile. Phase 1 complete, she announced to President Doyle. The hegemony fleet is in disarray. The president nodded. And now comes the hard part. They'll be angry. Susan's face hardened. Let them come. We'll be ready. The hegemony was furious. Never in their 10,000 years of conquest had a primitive species damaged their fleet. Admiral Krazak called an emergency meeting on his damaged flagship. These humans are more dangerous than we thought, he growled to his officers. We must change our approach. What are your orders, Admiral? Asked Officer Zexith. Krazak's 4 eyes narrowed. Send ground troops to their major cities. Take hostages. Show them what happens when they resist the hegemony. Within days, alien ships dropped thousands of soldiers into cities around the world. They expected humans to panic and surrender once civilians were threatened. But once again, the aliens were wrong. In Chicago, when alien troops marched down Michigan Avenue, they were met not by terrified crowds but by empty streets. The people had gone underground, into subway tunnels and basements. Daniel Wright had been a school teacher before the invasion. Now he led 200 of his neighbors in fighting back. They didn't attack the aliens directly. That would be suicide. Instead, they used traps, distractions, and hit-and-run tactics. Remember, Daniel told his group, we don't need to beat them. We just need to make them waste time and resources. The aliens had to check every building, every room. They never knew when a simple doorway might hide a trap, or when a quiet street might suddenly fill with resistors who would attack and then disappear into hidden tunnels. On the other side of the world, in Shanghai, engineer Nancy Chen found a different way to fight. She took apart commercial drones and rebuilt them to carry small cameras and sometimes explosives. The aliens look up, expecting attacks from soldiers, she explained to her team. They don't look for small drones flying low between buildings. Her drones gathered information about alien positions and sometimes dropped small bombs on alien equipment. The aliens shot some down, but Nancy just built more. The hegemony troops struggled with Earth conditions. Their home planets had less gravity, so Earth felt heavy to them. Their battle armor, designed to protect them, made things worse. The heavy suits slowed them down in Earth's stronger gravity. The aliens also weren't used to Earth's weather. Rain, snow, and extreme temperatures affected their equipment. Their sensors, designed for different atmospheres, sometimes gave false readings. 6 months into what was supposed to be a quick victory, the hegemony had lost almost 1/3 of its invasion force. They controlled some areas, but at a huge cost. For every city they took, humans made them pay in time, soldiers, and equipment. In his flagship, still orbiting Earth, Admiral Krazak received bad news daily. His officers were nervous around him now. "Admiral," said Zexith carefully, "our forces in the human city of London have been surrounded. They cannot hold their position." "That's impossible." Krazak slammed his fist on the table. "We have superior weapons, superior training." "Yes, Admiral, but the humans." Zexith hesitated. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered. They adapt too quickly. They use our own technology against us, and they refuse to surrender even when defeat seems certain." Krazak turned to look at Earth through the viewing window. The blue-green planet seemed peaceful from space, but it had become a nightmare for his forces. "The High Council demands results," he said finally. "We cannot be defeated by primitives." "What are your orders, sir?" asked Zexith. Krazak's face hardened. "Prepare our forces for an all-out attack on their moon base. If we destroy their shipyards and research facilities there, they cannot maintain their resistance." On Earth, in the underground command center, General Susan Hayes received intelligence about the hegemony's plans. "They're going to attack Lunar Base Alpha," she told her officers. "They think if they destroy our moon base, we'll give up." Captain Frank Martinez, now with a scar across his face from a recent battle, shook his head. "They still don't understand us, do they?" Susan smiled grimly. "No, and that's why we're going to win." She picked up a secure phone to call Commander Olivia Taylor on the moon. "Olivia, they're coming your way. Spring the trap." Lunar Base Alpha sat in a large crater on the far side of the moon. Built before the aliens came, it was humanity's main shipyard and research center in space. Nearly 2,000 people lived and worked there, building ships and studying the stars. Commander Olivia Taylor walked through the base's main dome, checking defenses. She was tall with dark skin and a calm voice that people trusted. Everyone knew the aliens were coming, but no one ran or panicked. "Are the special weapons in place?" she asked her second-in-command. "Yes, Commander," he replied. "All set according to plan." Olivia nodded. "Good. Let them come." 3 days later, the hegemony attack force arrived. It was massive. 5 large warships and dozens of troop carriers. The aliens had brought enough soldiers and weapons to crush the moon base completely. From his command ship, Admiral Krazak watched the approach. "This will be the end of human resistance," he told his officers. "Once their moon base is destroyed, they will have nowhere to build or repair their ships." The alien troops landed in waves. Hundreds of soldiers in heavy battle armor marched across the lunar surface, their weapons ready. They expected an easy victory. After all, there was nowhere for the humans to hide on the barren moon. But Commander Taylor had prepared carefully. She had studied how the aliens fought and found their weaknesses. "They expect us to be in the base," she had told her people. "So we won't be." Instead of defending the main buildings, Olivia had hidden her fighters in the shadows of craters and inside small caves. She had planted mines in the gray moon dust that covered the surface. As the alien soldiers marched toward the base, sensors in their helmets suddenly screamed warnings. The lunar surface beneath them was moving. Mines exploded, sending soldiers flying in the low gravity. From hiding places all around, human fighters appeared. Using the low gravity to their advantage, they jumped higher and farther than they could on Earth. The aliens, used to fighting in their own gravity, couldn't adjust quickly enough. In the confusion, Chief Scientist Howard Mitchell activated the secret weapon humans had been developing. It was called the Gravity Manipulator, a device created by studying the hegemony's own technology. The machine didn't affect the whole moon. That would require too much power. Instead, it created small areas where gravity suddenly changed. One moment an alien soldier would feel normal. The next moment they would be pulled down hard or float helplessly upward. "It's working," Howard called over the radio. Their armor wasn't designed for changing gravity fields. The aliens' heavy battle suits, already a problem in lunar gravity, became impossible to control in the shifting gravitational fields. Some soldiers were pinned to the ground while others floated away, unable to aim their weapons. Meanwhile, a small team led by Lieutenant George Barnes approached one of the hegemony ships in orbit. Using a captured alien shuttle and fake identification codes, they managed to dock with the command vessel. "We're in," George reported quietly. Moving to the main computer room. Instead of trying to destroy the ship, George's team had a different mission. They carried a special computer virus developed by Dr. Alan Foster. If they could upload it to the hegemony systems, humans would gain access to the aliens' vast database of knowledge. Back on the lunar surface, the battle raged. The aliens had numbers and firepower, but the humans had home field advantage and surprise. Commander Taylor directed her forces from a hidden bunker, moving teams quickly to where they were needed most. "They're pulling back," called a scout watching the alien movements. "They're retreating to their ships." For the first time in the war, the hegemony was in full retreat. Their carefully planned attack had turned into a disaster. In orbit, Lieutenant Barnes and his team successfully uploaded the virus. "Download complete," he reported. "We've got access to their database." The information they found would change everything. It included details about other species that had been conquered by the hegemony, potential allies who might help humans fight back. This battle wasn't just a victory. It was the turning point of the war. 1 year after the war began, the 7 leaders of the Hegemony Council met in their grand hall on planet Zorax. For the first time in their long history, they faced a serious problem. The humans would not surrender. "This is unacceptable," shouted Council Leader Vexner, pounding his fist on the table. "No primitive species has ever caused us such trouble." Reports from Earth showed disaster after disaster. The human resistance was growing stronger, not weaker. Worse, they had used the stolen database to contact other species that the hegemony had conquered long ago. High Commander Vexlor stood before the council, his once proud posture now slightly bent from stress. "We have one option left," he said grimly. "We must destroy Earth completely. Burn their atmosphere. Make an example of them." The council members looked at each other. They had never needed to completely destroy a planet before. It seemed wasteful. Planets with resources were valuable. "It is decided," said Council Leader Vexner finally. "Prepare the planet killer weapons." But before this terrible plan could begin, alarms sounded throughout the hegemony capital. Something impossible was happening. "Multiple ships have appeared in our home system," reported a panicked officer. "They bypassed all our outer defenses." On the main view screen, a fleet of ships appeared. Some were clearly human vessels, but others belonged to species that had been under hegemony control for centuries. Leading them was a massive ship unlike any seen before, a combination of human creativity and alien technology. Admiral Linda Barnes stood on the bridge of this new vessel, named New Dawn. She was the sister of Lieutenant George Barnes, who had stolen the hegemony database. Now she commanded the first multi-species fleet in galactic history. "Send the message," she ordered. On every screen and communication device across the hegemony capital, a simple message appeared. "The age of the hegemony's rule is over. We come to offer a new beginning." In the council chamber, the alien leaders watched in shock as Linda's face appeared on their screens. "For 10,000 years, you have ruled through fear," she said calmly. "Today that ends. We don't come to destroy you, but to change you." Linda explained that humans had shared their technology and fighting spirit with other conquered species. Together, they had formed a new alliance based on equality and freedom. "We could attack your worlds," Linda continued, "but that's not our way. Instead, we offer you a choice. Join our new Galactic Council as equals, or face a war you cannot win." To prove her point, Linda revealed that her fleet had placed quantum-linked bombs on each of the 7 hegemony homeworlds. If the hegemony refused peace, the bombs would activate. The council was stunned. It was a bluff. The humans didn't actually have such bombs, but the hegemony couldn't know that. After seeing what humans had accomplished in just 1 year, they couldn't risk calling the bluff. 2 days later, in a ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, the Treaty of New Earth was signed. The hegemony would join the new Galactic Council, where all species had equal votes. The age of conquest was over. As Admiral Krazak watched the signing, he finally understood the hegemony's mistake. They had judged humans by their technology, not by their spirit. They had seen primitive weapons but missed seeing courage, creativity, and determination. "We thought technology made us superior," he said quietly to a human diplomat. "We never considered that the hardest battles are won by heart, not weapons." The human smiled. "That's why you lost." On Earth, people celebrated. The war that had begun with an alien ultimatum had ended with a new era of peace. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with alien life, but had changed the course of galactic history forever. The hegemony's biggest mistake wasn't attacking Earth. It was believing that technology alone determined a species' worth. It was a lesson the galaxy would never forget.